Hi, everyone. Welcome to another amazing topic of conversation. I want to thank my sponsors, the Health Channel. So please, everything that has to do with your health, just sign up for the newsletter. And Alexa's Workspaces, if you need anything related to workspace, even if it's an hour, a month, or a year, they will make it happen. So, Shani, welcome.
Thank you. Nice
It
to
is
be here.
really nice to have you, especially when the topic that you're talking about is not that well known. And
Right,
it is basically the lack of sleep for new moms.
correct. I feel
And
like it's very relevant.
there are studies that when you become a new mom, that you lose all the sleep. And
Yes,
so it's like dragging and dragging yourself day after day. So I know that you were telling me about how now we're concentrated on wellness, mental stability, eating right, but nothing has been said about lack of sleep.
right. So I feel like that everybody talks about health and wellness and how important it is to eat well. Nutrition is super important. It's very important to exercise. And we all know that sleep is important. It's a physiological need. But what happens when you become a parent? What happens when you have a child or multiple children? And you really can't sleep because they don't sleep, or you have to accommodate your schedule to match their schedules. And that becomes a problem not only from a sleep aspect, but also from if you have a working parent, if you want to have a date night, you want to be able to plan your day so you're able to know when you go to work, when you can work out, when you can sit, have lunch,
So
when
it's planning your day according to your day and not according to their schedule.
exactly. And from pretty much day one, you want to be consistent and have a schedule. And we all know that, in the first 3 to 4 months, babies literally just sleep and eat. There is not much going on with them. But I always, when I work with expecting moms, I tell them, let me teach you how to do that when your child reaches the 4 months point and put them on a schedule. And many pediatricians and social media nowadays, they create that pressure and the illusion that your child will sleep through the night at 4 months because there is
Wait,
no
why
reason.
the 4 months? Because I was reading some data that it's between the 3 and 4 months that shows the lack of sleep, like the peak,
Because
where
they
it's
have,
the border.
so imagine how you spend 9 months in the womb, all protected, eating when you wanted to eat. Everything was available. And then you come out to the world and now you need to adjust. It's really hard to be a baby if you think about it.
No, it
You
is.
adjust to light, you don't get food whenever you want it, and your brain start developing and you start seeing colors at around the 3 4 months mark. So they call it the 4 months regression, but I like to call it progression because your baby is actually progressing and they're learning new things. Yeah, and that's why we say that that regression is a sleep interrupter. And because they start also wanting to eat more, they want to move more, and you just have to accommodate them. And it happens in the first, I'm going to say 18 months of life, because there are so many milestones in that time frame. If it's, learning to crawl, learning to walk at some point, teething, if you're
Touching things, getting.
right, like the nutrition, they start to eat more, they start solids. So there are so many changes, and their sleep changes every month pretty much, and you have to accommodate their schedule based on their age. So every month, your child's schedule will change. If it's at the beginning, it's like 3 to 4 naps a day, then it drops down to 3 naps, then 2 naps, and then around 16 months, your baby will just nap one time throughout the day. But if you have it scheduled and planned, then you can.
How do you plan and schedule? Because, for example, my daughter never slept until the 9 months.
Right.
It was
So
like I was like zombie from the lack of sleep. At 9 months, they're already big, but it's heavy.
right. So every month there is a sleep schedule. And I even have one that I send to my clients based on every month it changes. Or even if you go to Google and you Google sleep schedule for a 5 months old, 6 months old, you get examples and you try to stick to it as much as possible. And, every baby is different and everyone will react differently.
Yeah.
But just taking off that pressure that your pediatrician or social media will say that your child should sleep through the night at 4 months, I think is very important, because even though they say there is no reason for your child to eat during the night, well, some are hungry and most of them are.
Need to be
So,
fed, yes.
yeah, and realistically, at 9 months, your baby would sleep through the night. I know but when you know that and you take the pressure off of you.
I wish somebody could have told me that
Right.
it's normal, that it can happen, because then you feel pressure. What's wrong with my baby?
Yeah.
Like they don't sleep.
And when you wake up once or twice a night and it's normal, you're not stressed. And basically kids mirror their parents, and mainly the mom. Mom intuition is very strong. So if the mom is stressed and anxious, her child will never fall asleep. You will
Yeah, but
sense it.
it's like a cycle. If you don't
Right.
sleep, you get stressed. And if you get stressed, you get cranky.
Right.
And if
So
they
let's
don't
start.
sleep, and if they don't sleep, then the cycle comes, it comes around again and again.
Right. So let's start in the first 3 to 4 months that your baby will wake up around 2.5, 3 hours, because then they need to eat. So logically, that you're not going to get much sleep in the first 3 to 4 months. Then you start putting them on a schedule, and you know that you will wake up once or twice a night, because
But
they will
on a
be.
schedule, what if they start crying? Like some of the babies will not let you go on that
Right.
schedule. Like, so
Right. So
how rigid do you need to be?
you have to be consistent and you have to stick to the schedule, because what happens is that when you don't have a schedule and you kind of like miss that first or second nap, your child is overtired. And when they're overtired, then
Worse.
it's worse. They don't fall asleep, they cry, and they don't sleep for longer periods of time. So if you start, let's say your child wakes up at 7 in the morning and they are 5 months old, and the first nap of the day should start 2 hours after morning wake up, then at 8:45 you will start the nap transition, just to make sure that your child is not overtired. When you do that, after 2-3 days, they should be on a
So
schedule.
you help the parents create a schedule and help the baby sleep?
Yes. So first of all, I work with families. Each parent has a different parenting style. Some have more than one child, so we have to create a schedule that is personalized to their lifestyle, parenting style, and how they can accommodate multiple schedules sometimes. But it's very important to stick to that schedule. And I would not let any of my kids cry, so I don't expect other parents to just let their kids cry. But
So
what I
how
teach
do
them,
you do it? Like I remember I let
right?
the kids cried and eventually
So
they fell asleep.
no, so you'd be surprised how communication is good as an adult. But if you started from day one with your child too, it works. I remember when my child was 6 months, my third one, and I told him, Mommy would very appreciate if you wake up at 6 a.m. instead of 5:30. And he
Did he
woke up at
listen?
6 a.m. He listened. And it's not just one time that you say,
No,
because
it's like a programming.
yeah, and
I'm learning, right? It's like programming your child.
yeah, and you know, we talk a lot about separation anxiety that happens at around the 9 months mark, and then again at 18 months, 2 years, and then it could happen anytime from until age of 6. So when you start talking to your child from pretty much day one about mommy is present, and then when whatever you need from mommy, mommy is here, then that nothing happens with separation anxiety, because you talk to them, they know you're around, you're not leaving them to cry. And when I hear about the cry out method and some parents that just leave them to cry and they say, oh, I sleep train my child. Well, you basically didn't sleep train him. You just made him realize that no one is coming. And there
That's
is a
what I
research
heard.
yeah, and there is research that shows that that causes neurological damages going forward. So what I like to do is, they call it self-soothing. So, but you know, I also like to emphasize that enjoy the cuddles and the snuggles in the first year, because you know, my youngest is almost 2, and now he doesn't
Not
even want
coming
to
back.
snuggle with me.
No.
And it never comes back. So just enjoy it. And you don't, it doesn't mean that you have to sit there for hours and hold your child until they fall asleep. It just means that you create that comfort and you put them in their crib, you stay there for a while. They might cry, but you're not leaving the room and leaving them to cry. You're there with them and you can talk to them. And I know many parents like pacifiers. I don't promote them because I also don't want to deal with dentists in the future, but there are substitutes to that. And
What's the
there
substitute to a
yeah,
pacifier except their finger?
no. There is the Lavi or comfort blanket that comes in many animal shapes and very soft. And what happens, and parents are they don't know what to do when it happens, is that the baby sucks on the pacifier, falls asleep, and then the pacifier falls.
Falls
And
and you have to go back and put them on. You
exactly.
know,
So what the
because of pain in
security
the neck.
Exactly. So what the security blanket does, first of all, it's so much larger than a pacifier that the baby can grab it, and it provides comfort because they cuddle with it and they suck on it. So it provides that comfort that the pacifier does, but also if it falls, they can grab it because it's bigger. And I have, my youngest has one in all, you know, it's
And
crib, it's cool bag, everything. And that helps, you know, it solves
I
one
wish
problem.
I had known a lot of these things.
Yeah, and that is education. And it's so important that, you know, sleep is not luxury goods. It's, you know, essential for our day-to-day life.
Yes.
So that's what I am trying to promote, how to get sleep. And you know, I have 3 kids, and the only reason I can say that I want more is because we sleep. I sleep 10 hours a night. My kids sleep 12, and they are 2, 3, and 4, and they have been sleeping uh, since 9 months. So we all get a lot of sleep here.
What do you do for the older kids? For example, I know that there's a lot of families that fight to get their kids to bed in a timely manner so that the next day they don't wake up really tired.
Right. So
They
that
do get their like between 8 and 10 hours of sleep, but getting them to bed, that's
So that is why from day one, we have been so consistent and we have a schedule. They know that after school, there is an activity, then we come home, we have dinner, we shower, we play a little bit, and we go to sleep. They know the schedule and they don't really they want to go to sleep, and we create that sense of, oh, you have such a cozy bed and it's so nice to spend the night there and to cuddle with.
they're bigger that they fight you.
They don't fight me because they know. Imagine my 4-year-old, for 4 years he's been doing the same thing, so he already knows. And when you implement that
Your
from day
older is
one,
4 years?
yeah, my eldest is 4. I have a 3-year-old, almost 3-year-old, and an almost 2-year-old.
Oh,
And
one
and
after the other.
one after the other, yeah. And they all love to go, they all love their beds, and there is no even separation anxiety because I have been implementing all the tools that I teach from day one. So many kids, the reason why they don't want to go to sleep is because of that separation anxiety, because for them, they don't know the difference between a nap, like an hour and a half nap, versus a 12-hour nighttime. So one tool that I teach parents is, when before you go to sleep at night, talk to them about the next day plans. Tell them tomorrow morning we're going to wake up, we're going to get dressed, we're going to make breakfast. Describe what you're making for breakfast. Tell them about what you're going to do during the day. If it's a school day, what you're going to do after school. If it's a weekend, describe your activities. And when they hear that there is a future, pretty much, then they're not anxious. They know they're going to see you in the morning.
And
So
will they understand?
when you do it every day, you know,
Consistent?
you have to be consistent. So for me, now for me, it takes 10 seconds now because I have been doing it for so long. But when you start, it might take a few minutes to really describe the next day plans. But after a week or two, it just takes a few seconds.
What about the weekends? Do you do the same routine?
Same. I'm very, very consistent. And,
So even when they go to school, you need to be consistent in the weekends. What if they have a vacation or something?
I personally am very consistent because I always said to my husband too, I told him if they don't sleep, we don't sleep, and I need to sleep. So for me, schedules and consistency is key. And if that means that sometimes we have to skip things, then we would do it. And and sometimes if there is an important event that you need to be at, it's fine. You can shift a little bit the schedule, but that is a one-off situation. It doesn't happen every weekend.
So it's basically you are on their schedule.
Yes, but then you can plan your day accordingly. Yeah, you know that, for me, for example, I know that if I want to go out to dinner, I can be somewhere at 8:30 because by 7:45, all my kids are asleep. I have time to get ready and we're out the door and can be anywhere. By 8:30, I can make plans.
So let me ask you something. How do parents find you?
I'm on social media and I have my website. So my company's name is My Little Dreamer. My Instagram handle is My Little Dreamer _coach. And my website is mylittledreamer.coach.
So what do you do for the parents that call you? Like, give me a scenario.
So first of all, I want to hear what they're struggling with. If it's a toddler, an infant.
So wait, go back a little bit. They call you,
They
normally
call
they
me.
call you because they're struggling with something with their kids.
Right.
The ideal person will call you before they become parents.
Well, I think
That
that's
would
the
be the,
smartest way. Yeah, because I also feel like the baby industry is so overwhelming, and nowadays, moms, expecting moms want to prepare their nursery and buy everything before. And I even have a free guide on my website, uh, my favorite essentials for the first year, because I feel like why waste so much money and wait and buy just the essentials that will help you. Don't overwhelm yourself, because you will be overwhelmed as it is. So the ideal client will call me, before, to prepare, and also just to take the stress off that, 4 months regression. So the mom would know what to do. But I start my coaching sessions by a 15-minute discovery call, where the parents or the expecting mom tell me what they're struggling with, what they're wishing to accomplish from my coaching. And, for parents, that would be they want to sleep. So
basically
yeah, and
their goal.
right. So I have three different packages that I sell. One of them is like Ask Me Anything, and that is mostly for older kids. Sometimes we're transitioning from 2 to 1 naps can cause problems with sleep anxiety, night terrors, um, different toddler things that
You
parents
help
deal with.
also with the night terrors, like for example, when they have bad dreams.
Yeah, yeah. So I help with that too. So those are like, just 30-minute conversation, and I give them tools how to handle this. And then they can reach out to me after if they have other questions. The other two packages that I have really depend on the personality of the parents. Like, some like me to be 24/7 available to them with any question, which is, yeah. So I have that is 2 weeks of unlimited support, because some are more anxious than others. But to be honest with you, I've never had parents that did not sleep for 2 weeks after working with me. Like, the
So
baby.
your success rate is very high.
Yeah, so after 2 3 days, their child most likely will sleep. And then if things change, or sometimes I have a family that needs to travel, so they would ask me like what to do if when to get to the new place, like any suggestions for their traveling plans. And then the third package that I have is similar to the same one that I just described, just less support. So it's just limited support for parents who feel more confident.
Well,
So
this part is so new because now you can, like, this generation, it's a Google thing.
yeah,
So they go and look for Google, how do I put my baby to sleep?
yeah, but
You are hands-on. It's
I'm very
more of taking your hand and teaching them and helping.
yeah, and it's more communication, like talking to your child. It's more gentle approach versus cried out, or all the different methods out there that I really don't support. Or they just don't align with my personality and parenting style.
And
So
definitely it cannot be replaced with AI.
exactly. And you kind of like shape your children. So you want them. I love that my children can communicate, just because I'm teaching them communication skills. I feel like that's something that many people are lacking. So I want them to have that skill for life, generally speaking. So
That's very important because normally they don't communicate.
Right.
Like
So now,
parents tend to communicate with their babies thinking that they don't understand, or it's like the baby language.
yeah. And sometimes they have tantrums and they cry, and whatever you say doesn't help. But you have to find that one thing that helps your child. For example, two of my kids, if they have tantrums, the only thing that would snap them out of it is if I show them videos of themselves that I take, when we play. That's the only thing. And, my eldest, only if I hug him or if I kiss him, that's his love language. So that would help him. But each kid is different. And I always tell moms that I work with, I can teach you anything and tell you what I think, but you know your child the best. And if something doesn't work for you or your child, you tell me and we find something else to do.
That is really interesting. Shani, thank you.
Thank you.
Really, that was an eye-opening. I wish there was someone like you when I had my kids. But no, I remember one time my daughter saying me, "Are you putting me to bed because I need to sleep or because you're tired?"
Both.
So both, yes. But it was,
Yeah.
I am tired, so you're going to bed.
Yeah.
So I am glad that you are helping new parents do this. And with this, thank you, everyone.
Thank
This has
you.
been an amazing conversation. And above all, stay safe until next week. And hopefully, there will be peace in the world.
Thank you.